Hey guys, hope everyone's doing well. Today we're going to start a Yone guide, which is going to take me a couple months to make, but it's something that I really wanted to do because of a few reasons. First off, it's very hard to find resources that'll help you that like teaches Yone in the top lane specifically. There's a lot of resources for Yone mid, but for Yone top, it's really hard to find. And the few content creators that I found that play Yone top, it's like it's not much teaching, but like I really wanted to make a step-by-step guide on how to learn Yone top. And obviously I'm not a challenger player, right? These other players are all better than me, but no one teaches Yone top. So I wanted to put my knowledge out there, and hopefully it'll help a few people learn Yone top. But for today, we're gonna do items and runes. What I plan to do is do many small guides. Because of my life, I don't really have time to do like one big 3 hour guides with everything inside, so I'll do it over the course of the next few months, and then hopefully every week I can release one part. So this week's going to be items and runes, and then for next week I'm going to have the identity of Yone top. So that's going to be an interesting one, but for today we're just going to take care of items and runes so that we can get that out of the way, because to be honest, Yone itemization in the top lane is very, very straightforward. Now, for the starting items, you have two options. You're going to go Debo or D-Shield. Why not D-Blade? Is because if you want an offensive option, Debo is always going to be better, right? And D-Shield you're going to take very rarely. To be honest, like Debo just feels amazing on Yone, especially in the top lane. In mid lane, there's some matchups that you need the HP. In top lane, if you want some offensive, go Debo. If you need D-Shield, go D-Shield. But like, how to choose between the two is like, if you can get away with not going D-Shield, you should go Debo. So the few matchups that D-Shield is going to outperform are matchups where the poke is just insane and you just need D-Shield to survive the lane. And then the other one is like matchups where D-Shield is just extremely valuable. One example is Teemo. Teemo with the poison is always going to refresh the D-Shield regeneration, so that makes D-Shield very valuable in this matchup. Something to keep in mind, you can greed Debo every game if you want to. That's pretty much what I do, but I know it can be a bit tricky, and if you verse like a good Teemo, of course, like D-Shield is going to be a bit better. But if you're just learning Yone, just go Debo every game, see how it feels. That's just an incredible item for Yone. And then Potion, of course. Okay, so let's go. For early buys, there's two options, pretty much. Is you rush the boots, right? Those ones. The attack speed boots, always. It's pretty much the only boots option Yone has. And the reason for that is the attack speed is just too good in the early game. And like the boots give you a big spike. It's just too valuable to pass up. Even though Tabis are like a bit overpowered in top lane at the moment, the attack speed boots are just needed for Yone to reach the Q cooldown cap. So the other option, if you don't want to rush the boots, is going to be to rush Bork straight away, right? But something to note is even if you rush Bork, you still want to stack daggers early. So if you stack Bork, you want the early recurve bow, but you're also going to want 2 daggers. 2 daggers, recurve bow is going to be your buy. If you want to rush Bork, the reason for that is if you play out the early game without daggers, it's going to feel really bad. As I said, valuable, very, very valuable stat. The attack speed, I mean, very valuable stat in the early game. So the optimal first buy, I would say, is triple dagger. Is a good spike. Like triple dagger potions is really nice. It's something I look to do because two reasons. Triple dagger is a lot of combat power for Yone, and the second reason is because it keeps you open to either going boots or going for the Bork rush. Now, in which case you want to go Bork over boots or boots over Bork, it's gonna depend on your matchup. There's some matchup where like Bork is just extremely valuable to get early, mainly tanks, right? Because of the max HP damage. So we can think of like Scion or Mundo, where Bork is going to be very valuable. And the boots is going to be extremely valuable in matchups where you require a high level of spacing. We can think Garen or Volibear, that kind of champion, where if they get on top of you, you're going to lose a trade. But if you play it well and you space them well, it's going to be really good for you. So boots are really valuable in this kind of matchup. And then after boots, or if you go Bork, the component order is going to stay the same, where a recurve bow is actually the most valuable component in Bork. The reason for that is it gives you attack speed, which again is really nice, but the 15 bonus damage on hit is really cool for Yone as well because the Q applies it, right? So it gives you almost like 15 effective AD, right? Because it affects your autos and your Q. So this is a very, very like efficient gold. Because like if you think about it, 15% attack speed is like 1.5 dagger. That means 475 effective gold there, plus 15 AD, which is 1.5 sword, which means, I don't want to do the math, but like almost 500, right? So yeah, really, really valuable component. And the first big Yone spike that you have in the game is going to be boots, recurve bow, D-bow. This gives you like a shit ton of attack speed. And at this point in the game, in the lane, if you're not behind, you get those components, you're going to be really, really strong. Now, after a recurve bow, what you want to get, what you want to get is Vamp if you can afford it. Otherwise, pickaxe. It's like those two are nice. There's some matchups where early Vamp is nice, but you want to be careful because if you go Vamp early before daggers, your combat power is going to be really low, but you're going to have sustain. So it's a trade-off, right? In matchups where, like, I mean, just don't do this, to be honest. Like, it's just almost never good, especially in top lane. In mid, I can see the reasoning for it, but in top lane, just always prioritize your attack speed components and go Vamp as your second component. One thing to note here is if you have, like, let's say in your inventory, you have boots, recurve bow, D-bow, a potion, like refillable potions, and you get a base, don't finish the Vent Scepter. If you have longsword, it's way better to have longsword and pickaxe than just the Vamp Scepter. So just keep that in mind. Like, spend as much gold as possible on your base. That's what you want to prioritize over, like, finishing your Vamp. And then that's pretty much all there is to know about the Yone itemization, because after that, it's very straightforward, right? In top lane, you want to go Bork every single game, and Shield Bow every single game. Those two items are just really good on Yone. Bork, the reason why it's more valuable in top is for two reasons. First, in the mid lane, you need to, like, you have more opportunities to impact the map early, and Bork is not the best item in the early game, but it's the one that scales the best, in my opinion. So Bork in top lane, you don't do that as much. You don't like have early skirmishes as much. So less of a good skirmishing item is less needed. That's why Bork is a bit more valuable in top lane. And of course, your opponent is often going to stack HP, which makes it really valuable. And then Shield Bow is just one of the best Yone items out there. Like, it gives you everything you need, like attack speed, crit, and then it also makes you very hard to kill. Your 2-item spike on Yone is really, really big. Like, we're going to talk about this in the identity section that we're going to do next week, but your 2-item spike is pretty much the biggest, and that's the time in the game where you want to do the most stuff done. Now, you might ask, why not 3 items with IE? The reason for that is when you get 3 items, the issue is AD carries are also going to have 3 items, and like when, like the 2-item spike is not where your champion is the best in a vacuum. It's the point where your champion is the strongest relative to every other champion. That's what I mean. So after those 2 items, which you don't have to change for anything, 3rd item, IE, LDR, or Mortal Reminder, they're in order of what feels the best, to be honest. IE just feels amazing. Having that much AD, just great. Something to note is after your attack speed is capped, like the Q cooldown is capped, the most valuable stat is AD. So more AD is nice. And then the rule of thumb between if you go IE or LDR is going to be two things. First, is there a lot of tanky people in the enemy team? If so, LDR is going to be slightly more valuable than IE. And then the second question you need to ask is, who do you need to kill, right? Let's say they have, the enemy team has like a tank top and tank support, but the only fed member in the enemy team, their only win condition is like a mage mid. You should go IE anyways, because that's the person you want to kill. And IE is going to help you kill those mages or those AD carries way more than LDR because of the bonus AD and the crit strike damage. So that's the rule of thumb you want to take. And then Mortal Reminder, like, you're going to build this in about 5% of your games. It's going to be really, really rare. You don't want to build this item. You're only going to build it if you absolutely need the heal cut. Like if you're playing against the Mundo Warwick or some shit. Like, if you need it, you need it. But I hate building this item. Like, even if I'm playing against Mundo, if they don't have any other sorts of healing in their comp, I'm not even going to build it. I'm going to prioritize LDR or IE. The reason for that is those items are just better. And let someone else in your team buy this. Like, Yone is just not that great at applying it either, compared to, like, mages or AD carries that have more consistent way of applying it to more people. So yeah, like IE or LDR, 95% of your games, and then Mortal Reminder if you really, really need it. Now, after your 3 items, you're going to have 2 spots left, and this is very situational. To be honest, like, sure, there might be some optimal choices, but I feel like you can't really go wrong going Death's Dance 4th, unless they have like a full AP team comp, which is going to be rare. But Death's Dance 4th is really, really solid. The other option for 4th item is going to be Bloodthirster. This item is really good. The thing you have to keep in mind is if you buy Bloodthirster, you need to play better than if you play with Death's Dance. Death's Dance is like innate value, right? You get the item, you get your value, but BT, you need to play in such a way where the item will give you value. So, and you're also more squishy, right? 2 bursts and stuff. But if you're really confident that you can play it out and like not get bursted with like good mechanics and like good mechanics is not the right term. Like if you're really confident that your threat assessment is really good, and you play in such a way where BT is going to be valuable, it is a really, really good 4th item because again, it gives you a fuck ton of AD, and the lifesteal is really nice as well. Like it's a defensive-ish item. It gives you a shield and lifesteal, but it also gives you a lot more damage, which makes it really, really good, but it's a bit harder to execute. And Death's Dance is just pretty much always good. So that's the main 2 that I build. To be honest, it's rare that I go anything else. The next 2 that I find myself buying the most are these 2 items, because they're extremely good at what they do, but it's very specific to the situation. So let's say they have like Syndrobot, lock mid, like it's a lot of AP burst, and Koenig is going to be really, really good at nullifying those threats. But again, like if those people aren't fed at 4 items and they're like really behind, don't go Koenig. You don't need it. Like you go Koenig when you need to survive AP burst. So that's the item for this. And then the other is Renduins. Of course, it's like if you're playing against Garen top, Yasuo mid, and like a Jinx bot, Renduin is just super valuable because like it's going to reduce the crit damage of Garen, of the Yasuo, and the Jinx. It's going to be amazing. But again, it's very situational. Like it's in those scenarios, it's really good. But if it's not in those scenarios, this item's kind of useless. So these 2 items are just really, really good at countering certain things, which you should keep in mind. One thing to note as well, like those items feel better when you have IE, because when you have Borg Shieldbow IE, you have enough damage to kill anything anyways. So like more damage isn't really what you need, but some tankiness is going to be really good. And then the 2 last items here are GA, which of course is a great late game item. Like if it comes down to, let's say you're going to an Elder and you can buy an item by GA, it's going to be really valuable. It's quite situational, to be honest. Like I think if you're below Diamond, I wouldn't buy this item at all. That's just it. Like you also need to be really good at using it. Like if you buy GA and die, you just spend 3k gold for nothing pretty much. So below Diamond, I wouldn't touch this item. Below Emerald, let's say. But if you're, again, like if it's like for one specific team fight and you buy it, it's really good. In the late game, it's really good. But other than that, not the best item. It's not very stat efficient either. But yeah, like so the passive, if you can use it well, really valuable. And the last item is Witsend, which I don't even remember last time I built this item. It's an option for, let's say they have like a lot of CC and a lot of magic damage. It can be a good item. I would be very careful about this one. It's like very, very, very situational, because the thing is, like, if they're heavy AP damage, you're gonna be better off going Canic Recurn. But the thing is like Yone is quite vulnerable to CC, and it's the only item you can buy that gives you tenacity, other from the tenacity shard and the runes. So something to keep in mind, like if their whole comp relies around CC, it can be good. But then again, like if they rely on CC, you're better off going QSS, which is something I forgot to mention. But QSS is a really, really good item on Yone that you can build like third here, and then you can upgrade it later. This into like champs like Malzahar, champs like any champ that their kit relies on CCing you to be useful. QSS is really nice, and the good interaction QSS has with Yone is that you can use QSS to snap back, right? Like the most annoying thing as Yone is like you go in with your E, get CC'd forever and die. But like let's say you go in, Leona stuns you, you can QSS snap back instantly, which is really nice. So don't greed this. If you need it, you need it, and it's really, really important you get it, because if you get like CC can just nullify anything you want to do. That's pretty much what CC does, but on Yone it's especially bad. Like the two things that counter Yone the most are burst and CC, so QSS is good in those spots. Don't greed on this item. And that's pretty much it for itemization. It's pretty straightforward. For the runes, it's also very straightforward. You have 3 options of runes. The first one is going to be a lethal tempo page that looks a bit like this. So lethal tempo, in the yellow tree, you're pretty much always going to want Triumph, but you can swap it for Absorb Life if you want the sustain. One thing to note is if you find yourself not really needing Absorb Life in your lane, you should always go Triumph. It's a rune that scales better. Alacrity always. Last Stand, it's like 75% last stand, 25% cut down. Cut down is really valuable into champs that... The two that I like it against are Garen and Mundo. 2 reasons is like Mundo's going to be like high HP a lot with his regen, so cut down gets quite valuable, and the other part of that is like you're rarely low HP against Mundo, so cut down again quite valuable. And then against Garen, it's like his passive, right? He's gonna be high HP a lot, and it's if you're low HP, you're dead anyways. So last stand is like lower value there. So those two, and then you're pretty much always gonna run the resolve tree in your secondary with Shield Bash and Second Wind or Bone Plating depending on matchup. Bone Plating against champion that have only committal tools for trading. We can think of a champ like Jax that has to go in to proc it, and a Second Wind against everything else. Like even if the other champ is melee, if he has not committal trading patterns, like a Cassante for example, with Q autos, stuff like that, Second Wind is going to outperform. And then the other rune that you can take is Unflinching. Unflinching is very valuable into champs that CC you a lot. We can think of Cassante, because like many people don't know this, but like you gain armor and magic resist when you receive crowd control, but crowd control includes slows. So Cassante Q is going to apply it. Aatrox Qs are going to apply it. Gwen ulti, all that kind of stuff. So it can be really good. But most games you're going to want Shield Bash Second Wind or Shield Bash Bone Plating. And there's a few matchups where you can actually take Demolish, which is really good. The main matchups where you want to do this are matchups where you don't want to play for kills. You want to play for like perfect CS, good base timers, taking plates, stuff like that. Demolish is going to be really good into champs that you can use it against. We can think of champs like Mundo, where like if they play well, they're not really going to die. So what you want to do is like stack 2 waves together, E, 3 autos on the tower, snap back, and get plates like that. Like if you go see my VODs on my YouTube channel on Yone against Mundo, I do that very, very consistently, get like 4 or 5 plates by 10 minutes. And that's the way that I prefer to play those matchups. I feel like making it volatile and try to fight them all the time, it attracts ganks, stuff like that. Like tower plates are just more consistent. Of course, if they mess up, you can go kill them. Like, of course, but against good players of those champions, taking demolish and going for plates is going to be way more consistent. As for the shards, this pretty much never moves. The only thing you can change is go tenacity. Like I said, Yone is very hard to get tenacity. So if they have champs that have a lot of CC, tenacity is quite good. Just keep in mind you're going to be squishier. So like if there's a volatile matchup, like in theory this would be good against Riven, for example, to like reduce your W stun. But in those matchups you just need the flat HP. So be very careful about going this shard. I think the shard is really, really good. It's quite OP. Really, really good, but mostly on champs like Jax, for example. Jax is a great abuser of this rune. Darius is another one. But on Yone, you have to be really careful because you need your HP early. There's a lot of matchups that are going to be really, really close. A lot of skill matchups. And in those matchups, if you don't have the health, you're just going to die. So be very mindful about this. But your lethal tempo page is going to look like this pretty much 90% of the games. Second rune page you can do is Fleet. If you need the sustain from Fleet, you probably also need the sustain from Absorb Life. So Fleet, Absorb Life, this doesn't change. Like same rule of thumb for those runes. And then secondary, probably Second Wind. Of course, if you take Fleet, it's probably going to be into range matchups. Fleet is going to be really good into champs that it's very hard to long trade against. So lethal tempo is less valuable, and you need the sustain. We can think of Jace as an example. Very hard to long trade against. And the sustain is very valuable. Stuff like that. Fleet is just going to be really good. Just got buffed as well. So Fleet is quite good. And then with Fleet, you can go something like this if you need the survivability. It's going to be quite good. But if you... Shield Bash is a bit more... It's a bit like the rule of thumb is a bit like Debo, right? Where if you can get away with taking Shield Bash, you should. It's a better rune. But if not, like going something like this or like this is going to be good as well. And then the third rune page is going to be Grasp. Grasp is very niche. Like something like this. I never know what to take secondary, but like this sounds... Maybe something like this. Like secondary is like... it doesn't matter that much, to be honest. I think those are quite good. But Grasp is going to be in matchups where you can only short trade. And you need those short trade to stick. So Grasp and Shield Bash together is going to be really good for those matchups. 2 examples, Gragas and Akali are 2 matchups where I like Grasp a lot. Gragas is like really hard to long trade against. If you like E forward to try to extend the trade, he's going to E you back and run away and have Storm Surge and all this annoying stuff. So make those short trades better is going to be quite good. And the other one is Akali. Akali doesn't have sustain, so short trades are really good, and long trading is just not gonna happen if the Akali knows how to play the game. Like if you queue 3 forward, she can E back. If you try to engage in a long trade, she's gonna double you, and at level 6 you just get one shot anyways. So having a bit more tankiness with Grasp and a bit more short trading power is gonna be really good. That's pretty much the reasoning for this. Outside of those 2 matchups, I pretty much never take this rune page. Like 99% of your games are going to be on lethal tempo or Fleet. It's pretty much like 75%, like 79% lethal tempo, 20% Fleet, and 1% Grasp, pretty much, something like that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the runes. It's very straightforward. Just one advice for people who want to learn Yone: make your setup consistent. Don't worry about the runes and the items. Just find the build you like. If you want to go lethal tempo, Borg, shield bow, IE every single game, feel free to do it. That's perfectly fine. The other runes are like small optimizations, but if you go with that build every game, you're never gonna go like wrong. It may just not as optimal, but just keep it simple. Keep it simple and make sure like you play with the identity that your rune and item give you, and you're gonna be perfectly fine.